hockey opinion, you shouldn't pay 4 players $40 million. Listen, Hughes, I am so on the fence about this one, okay? I'm so on the fence about this one, and I'll tell you why. That $40 million is going to a guaranteed playoff spot last 4 years running. Maybe 3 years. I mean, I know they've been in it since, like, Matthews joined the team, right? So that's like 5 years of playoffs in a row, I think. Whatever the number is. Those first years weren't a guarantee, like, especially the first year. Nobody saw it coming the first year. Against Washington, nobody saw that coming. The next one against Boston, right? Like, that was a little more predictable, I think, by the time it got to playoff time. But, like, for the last few years now, everybody knows this team is going to the playoffs. That's what $40 million buys you. And how can you win a cup if you're not in the dance? You know what I mean? So on the one hand, I'm like, $40 million to get you into the playoffs every year, and also attract other players that are now willing to play for less because they know they're going to the playoffs. You don't get Spezza for $700,000 without that $40 million being spent where it was. You know what I mean? You don't get Wayne Simmons, I think, for $900,000 or whatever it is, unless that $40 million is spent where it was. You see what I'm saying? So there actually is a lot of pluses to having 4 players that are really talented, or 5, right, that are they're getting paid $40 million plus. A core group that you know is going to get you there, and then you build with all the people that once you get there, have that extra stuff that they just want to win a cup, man. They're only in it for like $1 million a year, $2 million a year, whatever. They're trying to make the dream work, you know, because you can win that way. I'm telling you, you can win cups that way. But, I think the league itself undervalues defensive play, defensive structures, defensive-minded hockey IQs. It's so offense-focused that you're going to keep seeing stuff like this tonight, where if the Leafs aren't scoring all game long, they will lose. You see what I'm saying? The Leafs cannot put up 1 goal and win a game. It cannot happen with this team. That's not how they play. The only defense they have is their offense. They are so good and dominant with their offense that literally, if they're not scoring all the time, they're done. They're done. Right? Because all that's going to happen is they're going to keep taking stupid chances, keep taking stupid chances to get goals, to get offense, and the further down the score they get, the bigger those chances are going to be, and then they're just going to give up more goals and do more dumb things. Everyone's puck watching because they want the puck, because they got to get that goal or that assist or whatever else. They're all so point driven that they completely lack in the areas that's going to get them a cup. Playing the way the Leafs play now is great. We all know it. It is. They're doing well this season. Again, this loss means nothing in terms of how good they are as a team. 1 bad game at a time. It's happened to a lot of the bad teams. We even talked about that before. If you're going to give up points to rival teams, isn't it better to give up to the ones that are way down at the bottom, not making the playoffs? They didn't give Tampa 2 points. They didn't give Florida 2 points. So you know what I mean? There are some pluses to that as well. It's not as bad as it seems. But at the same time, if they paid more attention to defensive players and paid them a little bit more and made them worth something, it would force the offensive guys to start having to play defense too. Because now, if you want to make your $10 million a year, you can't just score goals. That's done with. We don't need McDavid anymore. His offense is great, awesome, but we're phasing away from that. We want the guy that will never let McDavid through. That's what we want. And we're going to pay him $8 million a year. Now what? You know what I mean? If they had guys so well trained at shutting down McDavid, don't tell me you can't do it. Nonsense. Nonsense. As a team structure or even as an individual, if you train hard enough and you put the focus on developing defensive skills at very young ages, you know what I mean? You can have the guy that shuts down McDavid, no problem. Humans are amazing. They can do anything, so don't give me that, right? So let's focus on developing some players like that and give them $8 million. And now, if you want to make the 10, the 11, the 12, or whatever else you're going to make in the future, you have to be able to score like McDavid, but defend like an all-star too. That's what they're going to be looking for. Or that's what they should be looking for. You know what I mean? So I don't know what to tell you, Hughes. Like, you know? Yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot to bring up, man. I wanted to put it in the beginning thing. Why was Mrazek even playing tonight? You see what I'm saying? Like, why was Mrazek even playing tonight? Why wasn't Campbell in? So what? Campbell has a bad couple of games, and it's like pull the plug on him now? He's no longer our starter? You treated him like the starter all season long. This was supposed to be his first season being a starter. That's what everybody said. Tandem all of a sudden now? Now everyone's talking about how it was a planned tandem. Yeah, you can say that all you want, but when you saw how the season went to begin with, everybody thought this kid, Campbell, all right, Campbell knows where it's at. All right? Everyone believed in him as a starter. Now you don't? Now you don't? I think it's a weak move from Keefe, man. I gotta be honest, he's starting to really tick me off. I'm not sure I like Keefe anymore. I think I like Dubas. I think Dubas puts together a team full of tools that you can use correctly to achieve some really awesome things. You know what I mean? But like, folks in the chat, like, when do we start looking at Keefe going, dude, are you going to teach this team defense? Are you going to demand it out of them? You know what I mean? Can you even demand it out of them? Are they already ignoring you? Like, I don't know. Has he lost the room? Because to put Mrazek in tonight, you're basically just saying, that's it, Campbell. Like, you got to earn your net back. Really? After the records he broke for us, you know what I mean? After stepping in the playoffs, playoff run and stuff, when Freddie couldn't get the job done for whatever medical reasons or whatever else he had going on, it's not blame, it's just the truth. He couldn't do it. Campbell did it. Campbell did it. And what now? Now a bad few weeks, and it's like, oh, you know what? Goalie trouble again. Well, you know what? You're creating it yourself with a move like that. You know what I mean? No way Mrazek was supposed to play tonight. That's dumb. That's dumb. I'm sorry. That's a coaching faux pas, I think. It's a slap in the face. It's a slap in the face. And yeah, you know, Campbell has to be a professional. And if he wants the net back, he has to rise up for it. I get it. But was it necessary this time? Was it really necessary? Clip after clip after clip of goals that are not Mrazek's fault. Not Campbell's fault. Neither of them. Clip after clip after clip. I gotta show you guys. And now they're like, even their own coach is like putting. Guys, in that All or Nothing series, didn't Keefe have an argument with the goalie coach at one point in one episode? Because the goalie coach was like, what do you want him to do? He got tipped in front there and he got blocked over here. And Keefe was ready to snap at him. And he went, what? Like, goalie coach was standing up for his goalie. Yeah, there you go, the little. We had the sound alert for the no patience thing. That's right. So, you know what I mean? Maybe it's Keefe. You know, maybe Keefe shouldn't have had Muzzin with Hall. Maybe Keefe should have broke that up sooner. Hall seems to be doing a lot better now that he doesn't have Muzzin, and Muzzin seems to be last on the team in plus minus. Now, he's had his head all banged up and stuff, and, you know, Lord knows what he's trying to fight off. I'm not saying that makes Muzzin suck at all. But the reality is he's not having a very good season. He was like minus 9, minus 15, something like that. I don't know what it was. It was huge compared to the top of the team. You know? And that's another thing. On more consistent teams, right? When a team is really consistent, that plus-minus range between their top player and their bottom player shifts more to the top, okay? Together. So when a team is really consistent in their winning, you'll see that a lot of them have like, okay, high plus minus up here, you know, for the season, but the bottom doesn't really dig into the negative too much. You don't really have too many players in the negative, and the ones that are there aren't there by much because, you know, it makes sense. As a team, you're winning more games, which means you're probably outscoring your opponents most nights, right? Overall, you know? So there you go. You're going to have more goals, more points, keeping your team like this. And lower teams like Arizona and Montreal, they're plus minus. You're lucky to have 1, 2, maybe 3 players in the plus. You know, and then the minus can get pretty minus. Right? But we all understand why that's happening. Because you're looking at a team going, well, you know, your individual success is being affected by your surroundings. We all know this. It's no shock to anyone. That's exactly it. You're not having a good season in part because of all the people around you as well, all bringing each other down. Right? But when you see a team like Toronto, where the top is way up here and the bottom is way down here, that's messed up, man. That's messed up. You know what I mean? How is that happening? You know, that's not a good sign. That's not normal. So I don't know. I don't have the answer as to what that actually means. I don't know what the Leafs have to do to get the bottom up here like this a little bit more. Like a lot of the other teams where like the plus and minus is a lot more close together. I don't know what they have to do. I need a lot more footage than I get a hold of, but the reality is that's frightening to me that there's a huge gap like that. But what do I know, man? Plus minus doesn't do anything. It's a useless stat. It should be kicked out of all stats and analytics ever, right? Plus minus is irrelevant this season for Montreal. No, it's not. It's not. See, because this is what I'm trying to tell you, okay? Hughes, check this out. Keep your mind open here, okay? So, when I look at -1 for Arturi Lehkonen... Hey, I fixed it. There we go. Fix the sound. Thanks, Leslie. Yeah, follow me with this, Hughes. Trust me, okay? Before you start calling me crazy. So, we're looking at it within the team itself. Instead of looking at it all season for everybody... A little soup in the chat there, too. Nice, Johnny. Thanks. Instead of looking at it for them compared to everybody in the league, that's unfair. Because as a team, they're all weighing each other down, right? The external factors, the intangibles, are affecting all of their data. Cool. So I'm with that, right? So Arturi Lehkonen with a -1, considering the situation, is really good within his team, right? Now, if we look at another guy playing a bunch of games, right? Ben Sherratt played 49 games, right? What did I say? Lehkonen has played 50. So Lehkonen's played 51. Sherratt has played 49 games. Sherratt is dead last in a -21. Now, could none of that be his fault? Absolutely none of it, really? Yeah. Yeah. To use a stat like plus minus means you have to acknowledge that theoretically you can watch game tape and find out that this guy's doing everything absolutely right. And he just keeps ending up in bad places at bad times, and it's not his fault. Could be, but try it. Try it, right? I don't know how to get a whole bunch of game tape from a Montreal game, right? I guess you'd have to tape it yourself, but even then you're only getting the one camera angle. I don't know how you'd do it, but the more footage you can get on Ben Sherratt, follow him around. I bet if you know what you're looking for, you'll find a lot of things that could be polished up. And they might be little things, and they might say, yeah, but that's not that big a deal on that play. Yeah, on that one. But, you know, it chips away at you. It chips away at you. The negativity, the feeling of making a mistake. You know, it causes you to be less sure and less sure and less sure. And I bet you, if you really look, a lot of these low minuses for a season, right? The player is at least somewhat responsible, though, right? Yeah, I get it, right? And trust me, like, to have a defenseman be on the ice a lot more times. Like, look at time on ice, right? Like, I'll admit it. Look, time on ice per game, right? You got Lehkonen with 14 and a half minutes, and Sherratt's got 23. You know, almost a full 23 and a half. So almost a full 10 minutes more. I get it. Cool. You know what I mean? But that's what you're there to do. That's what you're there to do. You know? You know, you put him up against Justin Hall? Let's do it. Right? Let's do it. Let's go to the Toronto Maple Leafs. All right? We go to the plus minus. You'll never guess who's leading the way right now. Mitchell Marner. Plus 17 now. Michael Bunting right behind him, plus 16. Right? And then, like I said, you come down to, like, the bottom. Like, Jake Muzzin's a -8. You know what I mean? That's kind of far apart. Right? And actually, he's tied with William Nylander, who's a -8. Right? No, yeah, Kerfoot's dropped, man. Kerfoot's dropped a little bit in the plus minus. He's now down at 5th with a plus 13. So, you know, we've seen him make a couple of slip-ups here or there in the last little bit. We've seen it. I don't know if that directly caused it, directly contributed to it. Maybe not. Again, I don't have all the tape, but from what we see, it kind of makes sense to me. Justin Hall is tied for 3rd with TJ Brody at plus 14. Now, time on ice, we're talking about 20 minutes for Justin Hall and 21 minutes for TJ Brody. Now, again, guys, they're on a winning team. Overall, the external factors of their teammates are heavily influencing this stat. That's fine. That's why we're not saying that Ben Sherratt necessarily is a bad defenseman. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's not having a lot of success this year. And what I mean by success is more things going right than going wrong. You know what I mean? Not just the things he did well compared to the things he did not do well. because that's not enough. Right? That's not enough, because let's say you see a player who normally has more things go right, like noticeably more right than wrong. They do way more things right than wrong. But you notice that it doesn't seem to matter, because overall, right, their plus minus indicates that they're having way more bad things go wrong than right. Right? Then you'll want to look at that, find out what that cause is, because if you don't, and all of a sudden Sherratt's numbers, or like whoever you're measuring, their good events, their good contributions start to dip a little, and their bad contributions start to rise a little, you can't then say, oh, you're now starting to become part of the problem. Like, you're to blame now too. Because reality is, the external factors ruined them. And if you had used the player better, they wouldn't have actually gone through that dip in their stats. So that comes down to coaching rather than actual player performance. Neither player is at fault, you know what I mean? The team around him is not really at fault, and the player himself is not at fault for the dip, because you're not using him properly at that point. But they're doing all kinds of things right, but their plus minus is still way down at minus 29 or whatever it is, right? That is a problem. So are you misusing him, or is he partially to blame? Is he all the way to blame? There's all kinds of combinations, but it needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed if you want him to have a better season. And that's what we do with plus minus. We don't come up with answers. We find out where to look for the problem. That's all. And if it's not the problem, we're finding out where to look for the success. Who do we want to keep an eye on? Because to be honest, players can be successful for infinite reasons. And we just want to see who is successful, because if we do, right, then we will know what's trending. We will know that this player and this player seem to stand out as being more successful than the rest of them. What is it they're doing that's different than other players in their similar scenarios, their similar roles? You know? Your Muzzin and Nylander are in the minus on a winning team, so the minus 21 for Ben on a team with 12 wins isn't terrible. Isn't it? Or is Muzzin and Nylander being that far minus on a successful team like this equally as terrible? Do you see? That same result, although completely different, can be seen the same way. So, you could argue, no, it's not that terrible, right? Or you could look at it and go, they both might be suffering from the same thing, right? Certainly, I agree with you that I would be more likely to think that there is a bigger problem with what's going on with Muzzin and Nylander. But, Nylander keeps scoring a bunch of goals and getting points and stuff. So is he slacking on defense? I don't know. Is he getting burned by being paired up with the wrong kind of defense? Maybe that's a problem. You see what I'm saying? But it needs to be addressed. We need to find out why it's happening and fix it. Right? And there you go. Sherrod is a +6 in the last 5. Don't they have, in the last 5, you got, what's his name? Martin St. Louis. Right? Hasn't that changed recently? So maybe, you know what I mean? His low minus on Montreal was a sign that something was wrong that had nothing to do with him. Or at least, not a lot. Maybe he was being misused. So you put Martin St. Louis in there, and he starts figuring out how to use him properly. Now all of a sudden Sherrod starts to go on an increase in his plus minus. See? That's fun, isn't it? It's just fun, man. It tells the tale a little bit. Look, you know what I mean? There's no answers to it. But it gives you an indicator of what's happening. There's a truth behind it that sometimes we don't see with our eyes. Right? We just saw something, Hughes, with Justin Hall there. Right? That's what we saw. We saw that he was a +13. He's a +14 now. But we saw all those mistakes. What happened? We were seeing all kinds of mistakes. How is he rising in plus minus? Well, he's not playing with Muzzin anymore. Right? And before he was making those mistakes, when Muzzin was hurt the last time, he wasn't playing with Muzzin then. And we didn't notice him for a while. So maybe it's he and Muzzin aren't communicating well. Neither player might have. You might not have to change any of them. Just give them different partners. Or maybe someone needs a kick in the butt. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like that, again, plus minus provides no answers, but it shows you where you need to address things. So, you see what I'm saying? Clearly Justin Hall was doing something right. And now that he's on a different pairing, right? He's been making like sick passes and getting assists. He got a sick goal the other night because he had the smarts to do it. Like, so Hughes, I hope you spread the word, man. Plus minus is not what we think it is. It's not just a defensive stat. It's not a meaningless stat that only affects one play and everything like that. It's just an indicator, man, of success. Is it going well or is it not? And what I mean by it is like the whole thing, the career, the personality, the intangibles and the tangibles, all of it. Is it going well or is it not? And that's what we use it for, okay? So try it out for yourself. If you think I'm crazy, try it out. See what happens, all right? I'm going to get going, guys. It's been a little while here. I got to get going, okay? It's getting late. But I appreciate every one of you for coming out, as always, right? Thank you, everyone here. I hope all the newcomers stick around. And I hope all the seasoned veterans, you know what I mean? All the vintage folks keep coming back. You know we love having you out, okay? So, yes, cheers. Absolutely, Nate. Spread the word, all right? If you know anybody else that likes coming on Twitch, you're friends with anybody else, let them know, man. This is where the party's at after Leafs games, okay? Thanks for all those cheers there, Leslie, as always, all right? Take care, guys.